Hello everybody, my name is Cyberwolf, and welcome to my room. If you've been following me personally, then you know that this is actually the last day that I will be spending in my room, because by tomorrow I'll have a new room and also a new place to live, because this is the last day I'm in my house, and I'm so super excited to be moving. It's been a long time thing that I've been excited for. But, Nico, I swear to fucking Christ. But I wanted to go ahead and make this video because before I packed away every last bit of my setup right now, I thought it would be a good idea to do something that nobody's really asked for, but I feel like at least one or two people probably might want to see before everything is all packed away. And that is kind of a setup tour, but I also kind of want to make this kind of a informative video for some of you guys out there who may be trying to, or maybe wanting to get into the YouTube thing, but don't really know how you're going to be able to do it. And especially those out there who maybe you don't live alone, and maybe you have to deal with other people being around you and making constant noise. This video is probably also going to be more geared towards people that have a small space like I do. Like, as you can see, there's not a whole lot of space to everything in here. It's just a very small square room, basically. But I try and use that space as much as I can, without, you know, making so much blockage for myself. I'm gonna go ahead and add this in, that this is probably mainly only gonna be helpful to those of you who maybe you just want to record video games, maybe you want to do commentary, maybe you don't. I personally think that commentary makes it a whole lot better and a whole lot easier to not get copyright strikes. But whatever floats your boat. This could also really help for anyone else, really, depending on what kind of video stuff you want to do also. But, yeah, so I'll go ahead and let you guys check out what I have. Now, right here we have the, we have my TV, which is what I used to do a lot of my, video game stuff on back when I did mainly just consoles, but I kind of started gearing away from that because I started getting pretty bored, and also console games are very expensive. So yeah, I wanted to try and break away from that, but as you can see, we got the, oh, this is just a splitter, but we have the, I don't know if you guys can see that really well, and it's also got a little bit of dust and cat slobber on it because he sneezes all the fucking time. But what we have here is the HD Elgato game capture. They have a new one now, but this is what I had at the time. This is all they had at the time, so this is what I got. But then we also have the consoles, and by the way, if you're going to be doing console recording, that is what you're going to want to go with. You're either going to want to go with the Elgato HD Game Capture or the Game Capture HD, I think it's S? But that one is a whole lot better than the one I currently have. Also, as a side thing, it comes with a stock program that will allow you to record stuff, but you're going to want to try and find a new recording system, or not a new recording system, but a new recording program as soon as possible, because it's complete shit. I'll just be honest with you. But that goes to the consoles, and that goes to the TV, which goes to your computer. And I'm not about to start telling you, like, what all the different things that go to the, that all the specs to my computer are, because, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know all of them. I do know that some of my stuff are kind of outdated now, so it isn't really the best. The next thing that you're going to want to go with is lighting, especially if you're doing camera stuff. I just have a simple webcam right now, but I hope to upgrade to a professional camera at some point soon in the future. But without good lighting, your camera is also going to be shit, no matter what kind of camera you have. For me, I have this lamp, and it's very, very harsh. As you can see, it just went very dark. But the lighting is very harsh, and it's also very hot, so I can't have it aimed directly at me. Otherwise, it just looks very, very terrible. So I'm using a white piece of paper to basically redirect the light so that it isn't giving the full thing, but it's still giving enough light to illuminate my face. And then I also have a lamp up here to also give a good amount of light. And also, as you can see, this thing is on a little tiny swivel in a way, and basically that's also to try and keep direct light out of your face. You actually do not want to have, like, unless you're using professional lighting, you don't want to use direct light. It's very bad. So I'm using this to kind of shade the light a little bit, and also redirects the light to the wall, which will then bounce back to my face. But then next to that, you're also going to want to consider your microphone. And I know a lot of people will probably tell you that if you're going to be doing video recording, commentary, you don't want to use the Blue Yeti, but I'm going to tell you it's not bad. It's okay. I honestly would rather have something different, but it's all I can really have right now. It's a good beginner mic. I'll just go ahead and say that. It's a good beginner mic, and as soon as you want to try and branch off to the professional stuff, I'd really recommend checking out your different options. Like, you're going to want a mixer, and you're going to want to have a... I forgot the other things, but it's like 2 different very expensive boxes, and then you're also going to have a very expensive mic on top of that. And this is just a USB connected mic, so it's all by itself, and you don't need those other $300 worth of items to really do anything else. But you're also going to want a pop filter, because without this, I think my recordings used to be absolute shit, to be quite honest. It wasn't that great. It'd be constant little pops every now and then, and because I didn't really check my editing, or really edit that much to begin with, I never noticed it. Another thing you're going to want is some good headphones. These are actually super cheap. I think they were like $25, but they are probably the best headphones I've ever actually had the pleasure of using. It actually has a little built-in mic as well, but I've never used it, and I don't think I've ever needed to use it because it's mainly just connected into a mic already, so it kind of overrides it. But yeah, another thing to kind of increase professionalism is, if you're going to be using a small amount of space, is a backdrop. Like, I got this sheet up here, and I just have it pinned up to the ceiling, and that's mainly just to, you know, block the view of my bed, which, oh, I can see my cat threw up on my bed. Oh, that's kind of gross. Anyways, yeah, it's kind of to block that, so, you know, you don't see things like cat vomit. But, another thing is, oh yeah, this is also another light that still plays a very important role as well, because I have the light blocked, and it, redirects all the way over to here, which still winds up bouncing back onto my face and making everything look good. But along with the backdrop, it's very simple to just get like a cheap, like, I think this sheet set was $5 over at like Dollar General or something. And so, you know, I used it once, and then afterwards it became very, very uncomfortable to use. So it's very cheap, and it provides even better use as a backdrop, to be quite honest, than really anything else. Another thing is sound. Like, if you're in a small area, sound is going to be very important, especially if you don't have padding on your walls, which I'm going to be trying to do in my new place, but, you know, gonna be hard to really figure out how I'm gonna take care of that, because one part of me doesn't want to put holes in the walls, and then another part of me doesn't really care because I need to have a more professional environment. But, as you can see, I have my fan off, another fan over here that basically makes the entire room cold, like, almost instantly. But, gonna want to have to keep that off, especially because I already have to keep it off for the backdrop that goes in between it. But, and I'll actually just go ahead. I have to climb on top of my chair in order to actually bring it down. But, yeah, covers up the entire area, and I just cover up this little bit with what's left of the thing. And so, yeah, I can't really use my fan, but that's something I kind of forgot about in my recordings before I actually had to even use a backdrop, was that fan was actually causing air in the mic, and that was really annoying. Another thing is, if you have any vents, you're going to want to cover them up. As you can already hear, that's pretty fucking loud. And it's even louder, well, it's not even louder, but it still gets picked up in normal recordings, and that was getting really bothersome once I started hearing it. So, I actually remembered that my cats don't like this thing, so, it just made a nice little cover for the vent, and also because it's carpet, it covers it up real well. I got an air freshener too, and if you have an air freshener to freshen your stinky room, then you're probably going to want to turn that off. I completely forget to turn it off half the time now, but that's mainly just on me, and if you can have the ability to remember to turn it off, I would really highly advise you to do so. And then, what we have left is programs, and I know this probably isn't going to show up super well because I'm recording my computer screen using my phone, which isn't really all that great of an idea, but it's, I figured this would be a better idea than, you know, trying to record the program recording everything else. But, the program you want to go and use is OBS. Is the best recording software I have ever had the pleasure of using. Is better than Fraps. Don't waste your money on that shit. It will fuck up everything. Especially since I'm pretty sure Fraps still hasn't actually gotten an update for Windows 10. So, yeah, especially if you have a newer Windows model, you're not going to want to get Fraps because they're not very fast at upkeep. But anyways, OBS. Great program. Awesome program, in fact. But, it's very good. It's so good to use. Like, you can see everything that's going on right now, and it's so simple to use once you really understand it. It does take a bit of a learning curve. It is quite complicated, and I would highly advise you to do your homework when you're setting up your setup with it. But it is just so great. I really don't know how to really say any more good things about it. This was the Game Capture HD thing that came with the Elgato, and I honestly don't know why I don't have it just uninstalled at this point. But I kind of am afraid to, because then I don't know if it just won't let me record the Elgato anymore. This is actually what I used to use. It came with, because I have a Logitech camera, it came with a stock Logitech camera program, and that's actually what I used to use for my video recording, but it got kind of tiresome to use two different things to record, and also I found that OBS was able to actually run this a whole lot better than even the stock program was at running it. The same way that OBS became better at recording the game capture than even the game capture program. So yeah. Another thing that you're going to want to do is probably, if you're like me and you're using two different things to actually record with, like I normally have one window that is recording the camera, and then I will usually open up another one to record, gameplay. And I mean, that isn't really the best option, but it's the simplest option I have right now, I think. I haven't really seen how many other people are actually able to manage something like that, but it is what it is. But in order to take those two clips and put them together, you're going to want a good editor. And while this isn't exactly what I would say the best, it does get the job done very well. And if I was any more of a better editor, I'm sure that this program would still be enough for me to actually make a very good, high-quality edit. It kind of has everything you really need that Adobe already has. It isn't as streamlined as Adobe, unfortunately, but it's still able to get the job done and all that. As you can see, it's Corel Videostudio. I got X8 Pro because that was what was top of the line at the time for Corel. Now they have X9, and I'm pretty sure they have an X9 Pro at this point. It also has the ability to capture, but I don't really think that it has the added abilities, I guess, that OBS already has. So I just rather use OBS to record everything. But yeah, this editor is very, very good. It is on the kind of pricey side, but you're not gonna get a good editor for just free. Like, there are editors out there for free, but I wouldn't say they're like super great. But with the benefit of having Corel, you have the ability of doing a one-time payment. You don't have to pay them any more than one time of just buying the product the first time. But then there's Adobe Premiere, which I will admit is probably a lot better, but they both have their little pros and cons that kind of separate them apart from each other. And one very big con for me is that Adobe has, over the years, switched to a monthly subscription. So if you want to use their products, you have to pay monthly. And you know what? That's complete bullshit, in my opinion. I would much rather just buy it once and not have to pay them anymore, just so I can keep using the same product over and over. But I understand that they're not going to make more money if they just do it like that. So maybe if I start earning more money, I might switch over to Premiere, but for the time being, Corel is my only option because I don't have the ability to keep paying someone over and over and over. And after already 2 months, you would probably already have paid, well, I guess 4 months. You would have already paid the same amount that I paid for this Corel program. So it's, and I'm able to use this Corel program for the rest of my life. But for someone who is using Adobe Premiere, they would have already spent $200, and if they decide they don't want to use it or if they decide they don't want to pay anymore, they can't use it anymore. So that's kind of really bad, in my opinion. But yeah, you're also going to want a good photo editor. And one thing I really like is Paint.net. And you don't have to use a photo editor. If you want, you could just use the custom, or not custom, but the thumbnails that are chosen randomly from your video. But one that I think is top-notch is Paint.net. It is really what I used to use a lot of the time, but since I wanted to be a little bit more professional with my work, I found that Photoshop was doing a lot better of a job, so I went and just started paying a $10 monthly subscription to have Photoshop, which I'd highly recommend doing above all else. But if you want to just stick with the Paint.net for free, I'm not going to judge you for it. In fact, I would say all the more power to you. But I still kind of use both at the same time, but because there are little things that Paint.net is able to do that Photoshop isn't able to do a whole lot easier and without so much headache. Yeah, headache's a good word. Because Photoshop is super complicated. And honestly, in my opinion, it kind of has a few problems every now and then for me, but Paint.net, very simple, very streamlined in my opinion. And I honestly would rather go to it all the time if it wasn't for the fact that sometimes, even if I make the same size file in Photoshop, like not the file size, but you know, the dimensions of the thumbnail, it still won't be accepted by YouTube because Photoshop is able to compress it a whole lot better than Paint.net is. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was very informative for those of you who maybe you've been trying to figure out how you could do YouTube on a very simple budget and also a very simple environment. Also, something I forgot to touch on was if you're recording and you maybe live with your folks or you live with roommates, I would highly recommend trying to find a time when you can record so that you're not, you know, disrupting anyone else, and there's no chance of anyone else disrupting you. Because I can't tell you how annoying it is to be recording and you have your headphones on and you can't hear anything outside of the game, and then you go back to edit the video and all of a sudden you can hear your parents yelling in the background. It's quite honestly the most aggravating thing I think I could ever come across in the edits, because it's not something I could just take out, because I already have a filter going on my microphone that is trying to cut out all background noise, and unfortunately it's such a loud noise coming in the background that it isn't filtered and it thinks that's an important sound. So that's pretty annoying, and I used to try and record only whenever my parents were gone, but since I have a job now, it gets kind of complicated because both of us could be out working at the same time. Then when I get home, I still have to make a video, and they might still be home as well. So it gets kind of difficult and complicated to really schedule a time, but I would highly recommend making a schedule of when you can record and trying to keep in mind when, you know, your place is going to be the most empty. So, yeah, I hope this video was helpful. I hope this video is very informative for those of you who need it. And if you need any of the links to, you know, the programs, I'll provide a link to them down below in the description. But until the next time, thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a like, please share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe on your way out. This is Cyberwolf, signing off.